The elevator doors burst open as three executives rushed into the penthouse office. "They're dumping the stock." Ethan Graves didn't look up immediately. He sat at the edge of the massive black conference table, staring at the glowing skyline outside the glass walls. His phone had been vibrating non-stop for the last 20 minutes. Another executive stumbled forward, sweating through his expensive suit. "We lost $11 billion in pre-market trading." Silence. Then Ethan finally looked up slowly. "That's impossible." "No, sir," the man whispered. The video went public. Across every television screen in the office, the same headline flashed in red. "Neuralink exposed." The room suddenly exploded with noise. "What do we tell investors?" "The board is requesting an emergency call." CNBC wants a statement. Banks are already asking questions. Ethan grabbed the remote and muted the televisions. Everybody shut up. The room froze. For years, that voice controlled billion-dollar deals, presidents, celebrities, entire industries. People obeyed Ethan Graves without hesitation. But this morning felt different. This morning, fear had entered the room. Ethan stood and adjusted the sleeves of his tailored black suit. "Find whoever leaked the footage." One executive swallowed hard. "Sir, the problem isn't the leak anymore." "What does that mean?" The man hesitated. "The footage is real." No one moved. No one even breathed. Then another phone rang. And another. And another. Like alarms warning a sinking ship. Outside the building, thousands of employees were already gathering around giant screens in the lobby, watching the company collapse in real time. At exactly 7:42 a.m., Ethan Graves was worth $62 billion. By midnight, he would have nothing left. And it all started because of one video. 3 years earlier, Ethan Graves had been the most admired billionaire in America. People called him the future. His company, Neuralink Systems, was supposedly creating technology that would replace smartphones forever. Tiny AI-powered implants that could connect directly to human thoughts. The world became obsessed. Investors called it revolutionary. Tech influencers worshipped him. Politicians invited him to private dinners. Every product launch looked like a religious event. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ethan once announced proudly on stage as thousands screamed his name, "the future no longer lives in your hands." The crowd erupted. "It lives in your mind." That clip alone gained over 200 million views online. People bought Neuralink stock like it was guaranteed money. Teachers invested retirement savings. College students bought shares with student loans. Even rival billionaires admitted Ethan was changing history. Within 5 years, Neuralink Systems became one of the most valuable companies on Earth. And Ethan loved every second of it. He loved the interviews. The yachts. The private islands. The magazine covers calling him a genius. But more than anything, he loved being untouchable. "Sir, the Italian minister is waiting downstairs," his assistant once told him during a luxury event in Monaco. "Tell him to wait. He's been waiting 40 minutes. Ethan smiled slightly while adjusting his watch. "He can wait another 10. That was Ethan Graves. A man who believed the world moved when he spoke. And honestly, for a long time, it did. But success created pressure inside Neuralink. Pressure Ethan never allowed anyone to see publicly. The technology wasn't progressing fast enough. Engineers were missing deadlines. Product tests kept failing. One senior developer warned executives during a private meeting. The implants overheat after prolonged use. Another added nervously, the AI synchronization still breaks randomly. Ethan leaned back in his chair. "How long until it's fixed?" "We don't know yet." "That's not acceptable." "We're trying, but the technology isn't ready for public release." Ethan stared at them coldly. "The launch is in 4 months. One engineer shook his head carefully. "We need at least another 2 years." The room became silent. Ethan stood slowly. "No. Sir. We are not delaying this launch. But people could get hurt. Ethan walked closer. Do you know what happens if we delay? No response. Investors panic. Still silence. Our competitors catch up. The engineers looked uneasy. Then Ethan lowered his voice. So either fix it, or I'll find people who can. That meeting changed everything. Over the next year, dozens of employees quietly resigned. Some left without explanation. Others tried warning investors anonymously online. But nobody listened. Why would they? Ethan Graves was too powerful to fail. Every interview looked perfect. Every product demo amazed audiences. Stock prices kept climbing. And the richer Ethan became, the more dangerous his lies grew. Then came Daniel Mercer. Former lead engineer. 36 years old. Quiet. Brilliant. And completely forgotten by the public. Until the morning he uploaded a 14-minute video. The video began with shaky footage inside a Neuralink testing room. Employees shouting. Machines overheating. Patients screaming as technicians ripped neural devices from their heads. Then Daniel appeared on screen. They lied to everyone. The internet exploded instantly. Daniel continued. Neuralink technology does not work safely. The public demonstrations were manipulated. Investors were deceived. Internal reports were hidden. Then came the worst part. Daniel leaked confidential documents proving Ethan personally approved fake demonstrations. Within minutes, hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag Neuralink fraud. Hashtag arrest Ethan Graves. Hashtag biggest scam ever. At first, Ethan laughed. People believe anything online. But then his assistant entered the office pale as a ghost. Sir. What now? The board members are panicking. They'll calm down. No, sir, they're resigning. That got Ethan's attention. Then another executive rushed inside. We just lost 20%. Of what? Our stock value. Ethan grabbed the tablet violently. His eyes widened. The numbers were collapsing faster than anyone could stop them. Billions disappearing every few seconds. No. Investors were dumping shares worldwide. Financial analysts called it corporate fraud live on television. News anchors replayed Daniel Mercer's video non-stop. One reporter stared directly into the camera. This may become the largest corporate collapse in modern history. Ethan immediately scheduled a live stream statement. Millions tuned in. He adjusted his tie and forced a confident smile. The accusations spreading online are false, he began calmly. Neuralink remains fully operational. Questions flooded the chat instantly. Did your company fake product demos? Did patients get injured? Are investors being lied to? Ethan ignored them. This is simply an organized attack against innovation. Then suddenly another notification appeared live during the stream. Breaking, 3 more employees come forward. Ethan froze briefly. The comments exploded. He's lying. Look at his face. It's over. His PR manager whispered urgently off camera. We need to end this now. But Ethan refused. No. Another notification appeared. Federal investigation launched into Neuralink systems. The live stream viewers doubled within seconds. Ethan's confident expression finally cracked. And people noticed immediately. For the first time in years. The billionaire looked afraid. If you're enjoying this story so far, subscribe to the channel and drop a like because things are about to get much worse for Ethan Graves. By noon, the collapse had spread beyond the internet. Banks began distancing themselves from Neuralink. Major investors disappeared. Calls went unanswered. One of Ethan's closest business partners finally picked up. Victor, thank God, Ethan said quickly. I need you to calm the European investors. There was a long pause. Then Victor sighed. I can't help you. What? You should have told us the truth. Ethan's jaw tightened. You're abandoning me over internet rumors. Ethan, there are federal agents at your headquarters. That doesn't mean anything. It means everything. The call disconnected. Ethan stared at the phone. Then threw it across the room. Glass shattered against the wall. His assistant flinched. Sir. Get out. Meanwhile downstairs, chaos had completely consumed Neuralink headquarters. Employees packed boxes desperately. Security guards argued with reporters outside. Some workers cried openly. Others screamed at executives in the hallways. You told us everything was safe. We invested our savings. What happens to us now? One young employee sat frozen at her desk staring at the crashing stock price. Her coworker whispered, I lost everything. Upstairs, Ethan locked himself inside the executive conference room with the remaining board members. We can still recover, Ethan insisted. Nobody responded. We issue a stronger statement, delay withdrawals, stabilize the market. You lied to shareholders, one board member interrupted quietly. Ethan glared at him. We all signed those reports. Yes, the man admitted. But you created them. Silence. Another board member spoke carefully. The government seized internal server records this morning. Ethan felt his stomach drop. How much did they take? All of it. The room went quiet again. For the first time, Ethan realized this wasn't temporary. This wasn't a bad news cycle. This was death. Corporate death. Financial death. Personal death. And it was happening publicly. Ethan walked out of the conference room and immediately noticed something terrifying. The building had become quiet. Not normal quiet. Funeral quiet. Hours earlier, Neuralink headquarters had been filled with energy, assistants running through hallways, investors laughing during meetings, phones ringing non-stop. Now employees avoided eye contact as they carried boxes toward elevators. Some didn't even wait for resignation papers. They were just leaving. One woman hurried past Ethan while crying into her phone. I swear I didn't know, she whispered desperately. Mom, I didn't know they were lying. Ethan stopped walking. For the first time in years, nobody rushed toward him. Nobody asked for instructions. Nobody smiled nervously trying to impress him. People looked at him the way passengers look at a pilot during a crash. Like a man who doomed everyone on board. His assistant Emily caught up beside him, breathing hard. Sir, you need to see this. They entered his private office. Every screen showed the same disaster. Stock price, down 63%. Analysts predicting bankruptcy. News anchors tearing his reputation apart. One commentator stared directly into the camera. Ethan Graves may have built the greatest illusion Wall Street has ever seen. Another screen showed protesters already gathering outside the building. Some held signs saying, fraud. Arrest him. We trusted you. Ethan loosened his tie aggressively. This isn't real. Emily hesitated carefully. Sir. No, Ethan snapped. This company is worth hundreds of billions. It was. That word hit harder than she expected. Was. Not is. Was. Ethan suddenly pointed at the screens. Turn this garbage off. Emily muted the televisions. But silence somehow felt worse. Then his phone rang. Private number. Ethan answered immediately. This is Ethan. This is Richard Hale from Dominion Bank. Ethan stood straighter. Finally. Someone useful. Richard, thank God. Listen carefully, we need to stabilize investor confidence before market close. The banker interrupted him coldly. We're freezing all pending Neuralink credit extensions effective immediately. Ethan blinked. What? The board voted unanimously. You can't freeze our accounts. We already have. Ethan's face darkened. Richard, do you understand who you're talking to? Yes, the banker replied quietly. That's exactly why I'm calling personally. The line disconnected. Ethan lowered the phone slowly. For a moment, he simply stood there staring at nothing. Then suddenly he slammed the phone against the desk so hard it cracked in half. Emily jumped. This is insane. Ethan shouted. Everybody's panicking over accusations. Sir, there's more. What now? Emily swallowed nervously. The SEC wants an emergency meeting. Ethan laughed once. A dangerous laugh. Of course they do. Anne, she continued softly, federal agents are upstairs. His expression changed immediately. What? They're requesting access to executive files. No. Sir. I said no. Ethan stormed toward the office doors, rage building with every step. 2 federal agents waited outside alongside company lawyers. One of the agents spoke first. Mr. Graves. You don't have authorization to enter restricted executive areas. The agent calmly handed him a document. We do now. Ethan skimmed the warrant quickly. His jaw tightened. You think this makes you powerful? He asked quietly. No, the agent replied. Your lies did. The agents walked past him into the executive offices. Employees nearby watched silently. Nobody defended Ethan. Nobody even spoke. That hurt more than he expected. By 2 p.m., the internet had completely turned him into a villain. Old interviews resurfaced online. People mocked his speeches. Memes flooded social media. Clips once called inspirational now looked arrogant and fake. One video reached 50 million views in hours. It showed Ethan during an interview laughing confidently while saying, failure only happens to people who think small. Now millions were reposting it sarcastically. Even celebrities who once praised him started distancing themselves publicly. One famous actor tweeted, some of us warned you about billionaire worship. Another investor went live online. I lost $80 million because I trusted Ethan Graves. The comments exploded. Lock him up. He deserves it. Biggest fraud ever. Ethan kept refreshing the feeds obsessively. The hatred kept growing. Faster. Louder. Crueler. Emily carefully approached him again. Sir. What? Your wife called. Ethan grabbed the phone instantly. Claire. Her voice sounded shaky. Ethan, what's happening? It's under control. That's not what they're saying on television. Claire, listen to me carefully. People are panicking. That's all. She hesitated. Then quietly asked, did you lie? Ethan froze. Claire. Just answer me. He looked toward the city outside his office windows. Massive crowds had formed below the building now. Media helicopters circled overhead. Police barriers were being installed. Ethan. He closed his eyes briefly. I can fix this. That silence told her everything. When Claire spoke again, her voice had changed completely. Cold. Distant. You should come home. The call ended. And for the first time all day, Ethan felt genuinely afraid. Not for the company. Not for the money. For himself. Meanwhile, the stock market collapse was accelerating globally. International investors began dumping Neuralink shares across Asia and Europe. The company lost another $14 billion in under 30 minutes. Trading floors looked like war zones. Analysts shouted over each other live on television. No recovery is possible now. This company is toxic. Investors are running for the exits. At Neuralink headquarters, employees started receiving emergency emails. Payroll delays expected. Several workers immediately broke down crying. One man punched a wall. Another employee whispered, "My daughter's tuition." Security guards began escorting executives out through side exits to avoid angry crowds. Then came the worst notification yet. Emergency board vote initiated to remove Ethan Graves as CEO. Ethan stared at the message in disbelief. "They can't do that." Emily said nothing. "They can't remove me from my own company." His voice sounded less confident now. Almost desperate. The board meeting started 20 minutes later. Every face on the screen looked exhausted. None of them smiled. Ethan leaned forward aggressively. "You're making a catastrophic mistake." One board member sighed heavily. "The company is collapsing in real time. Because you idiots are panicking." "No," another replied sharply. "Because you lied." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "We all benefited from this company." "Don't do that," one woman interrupted. "Don't drag everyone down with you." The room became tense. Then the chairman finally spoke. "Ethan, did you knowingly approve false demonstrations?" Silence. Everybody waited. Ethan adjusted his cuffs slowly. "You don't build revolutionary companies by thinking small." "That's not an answer." "You wanted results," Ethan snapped. "I gave you results." "That still isn't an answer." His patience finally shattered. "Yes," he exploded. The product needed more time. But if investors lost confidence, the company would have died anyway. Nobody spoke. Ethan breathed heavily. "You think Steve Jobs waited for perfection? You think innovation happened safely? You endangered people," someone whispered. "I was building the future." "No," the chairman replied quietly. "You were building a lie." And just like that, the vote began. One by one, the board members chose. Remove. 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 Every vote felt like another brick collapsing from the empire Ethan spent years building. When the final vote appeared, the decision was unanimous. Ethan Graves was officially removed as CEO of Neuralink Systems. The founder of the company no longer controlled it. He sat motionless staring at the screen. Then one board member quietly said, "I'm sorry it ended like this." Ethan laughed bitterly. "No, you're not." The meeting disconnected. And suddenly, he was alone. Completely alone. No assistants. No board. No executives. Just silence. Then his office doors opened again. 2 security guards entered carefully. Ethan looked up slowly. One guard avoided eye contact. "Mr. Graves." Ethan already understood. "You're escorting me out." Neither guard answered. That was answer enough. Outside the building, thousands of people waited behind barricades. The moment Ethan appeared, the crowd erupted. "Fraud! You liar! Look at him!" Cameras flashed violently as reporters screamed questions. "Did you fake the technology? How much money did you steal? Are you going to jail?" Security pushed Ethan toward a black SUV. Someone threw a drink that exploded against the vehicle. The crowd roared louder. Inside the car, Ethan finally looked at his phone again. Net worth update, $62 billion, $4.8 billion. Nearly everything was gone. In less than 12 hours. And the day still wasn't over. Rain hammered against the windows of the SUV as it sped through the city. Ethan sat in silence staring at the glowing headlines on his phone. Neuralink files for emergency protection. Billionaire empire collapses. Criminal charges expected. Every refresh brought worse news. More lawsuits. More leaked documents. More former employees speaking publicly. The driver glanced nervously through the mirror. "Sir, where to?" Ethan didn't answer immediately. For the first time in years, he genuinely didn't know. His penthouse no longer felt safe. The company was gone. The board had removed him. Banks froze most of his assets. Even his phone kept vibrating with legal notifications instead of congratulations. He finally spoke quietly. "Home." The drive felt longer than usual. As the SUV entered downtown, giant electronic billboards still displayed old Neuralink advertisements. Ethan's own face stared down at him from 20-story screens. The future begins now. Hours ago, those ads represented power. Now they looked haunting. The SUV finally stopped outside the penthouse tower. But something felt wrong immediately. Two paparazzi stood near the entrance. Neighbors whispered while pretending not to stare. Even the doorman avoided eye contact. Ethan stepped out carefully. Camera flashes exploded instantly. "Ethan. Did you commit fraud? Are federal charges coming? Did your wife leave?" He ignored them and entered the elevator. His reflection stared back at him through the mirrored walls. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes looked exhausted. Older somehow. The elevator doors opened. And his stomach dropped. Several suitcases sat near the penthouse entrance. Claire stood beside them wearing a long gray coat. Their daughter Lily held her mother's hand quietly. Ethan froze. "Claire." She looked at him with red eyes. "We're leaving." "No. Ethan. No, don't do this right now." Their daughter looked confused. "Mommy said we have to stay somewhere else." Ethan crouched slightly. "Lily, sweetheart, everything's okay." Claire's expression hardened. "Don't lie to her too." That hit harder than the screaming crowds. Harder than the stock collapse. Because Claire had defended him for years. Even when others criticized him. Even when employees complained. She always believed him. Until today. Ethan stood slowly. "You think I wanted this? I think you stopped caring about the truth a long time ago. I built everything for this family." Claire laughed bitterly. "No, Ethan. You built it for yourself." Silence filled the penthouse. Lily hugged a stuffed toy tightly while staring between her parents. Ethan looked at Claire desperately now. "Please." Her expression softened for half a second. Then disappeared again. "Federal agents came here earlier." Ethan's heart sank. "They searched the penthouse." "They can't do that." "They already did." Claire grabbed her daughter's hand. "I don't even know who you are anymore." Then she walked toward the elevator. Lily looked back one last time. "Bye, Daddy." The elevator doors closed. And Ethan stood there alone. Completely alone. The penthouse suddenly felt enormous. Cold. Empty. He walked slowly through the dark living room while city lights flickered outside the glass walls. Usually this place felt powerful. Tonight it felt like a museum dedicated to a dead man. His phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered weakly. "What now?" A calm voice responded. "Mr. Graves, this is the Department of Justice." Ethan sat down slowly. "We'd like you to surrender your passport voluntarily before formal proceedings begin." He laughed softly in disbelief. You think I'm going to run? We think desperate people make desperate decisions. The call ended. Ethan tossed the phone onto the couch and leaned back staring at the ceiling. His mind replayed everything. The launch events. The applause. The interviews. The lies. Especially the lies. At first they felt temporary. Just enough to buy more time. That's what he told himself. One fake demonstration. One manipulated report. One delayed disclosure. Then he'd fix everything later. But later never came. Instead the lies grew bigger. And richer. And more dangerous. Until the truth became impossible to control. A loud buzz interrupted his thoughts. Breaking news notification. Ethan turned toward the television. A news anchor appeared instantly. Sources now confirm multiple criminal investigations are underway against former Neuralink CEO Ethan Graves. Footage showed employees leaving headquarters carrying boxes. One former engineer spoke publicly. We warned leadership repeatedly. Nobody listened. Another clip showed angry investors outside the stock exchange. I lost my retirement because of him. He destroyed people's lives. Then came Daniel Mercer's face again. Calm. Tired. But certain. We tried to stop this internally, Daniel said during the interview. But Ethan believed he was untouchable. Ethan muted the television violently. Untouchable. That word stayed in his head. Because it was true. For years he genuinely believed success placed him above consequences. Money erased rules. Power erased morality. Influence erased accountability. And honestly, the world encouraged it. Investors rewarded his arrogance. Media worshipped his confidence. People called him visionary every time he crossed another ethical line. Until the illusion shattered. Another notification appeared. Remaining personal accounts under review. Properties may be seized. Ethan exhaled slowly. Everything around him suddenly felt temporary. The penthouse. The art. The watches. The cars. None of it actually belonged to him anymore. He walked toward the massive glass windows overlooking the city. Far below, traffic lights moved endlessly through the rain. People continued living their lives. Restaurants stayed open. Couples laughed on sidewalks. Street vendors sold food. The world moved forward without caring that Ethan Graves was collapsing. That realization hurt more than losing money. He had spent years believing he mattered more than ordinary people. Now he realized the city would forget him eventually. Just another fallen billionaire. Another cautionary tale. The television suddenly unmuted automatically after a software alert. One final breaking headline appeared. Neuralink stock officially halted. Company value erased. Just like that. The empire was dead. Ethan lowered himself onto the couch slowly. He remembered the very first Neuralink office years ago. Tiny room. Cheap desks. A handful of employees who genuinely believed they were changing the world. Back then, he actually cared about innovation. Back then, he still felt human. But somewhere between billions of dollars and global fame, he changed. Or maybe success simply revealed who he always was. His eyes drifted toward the city skyline again. Rain blurred the lights outside. Then his phone vibrated one last time. A message from Emily. I resigned today. I'm sorry about everything. Ethan stared at it for several seconds. Then typed slowly. You should have left earlier. No reply came. The penthouse remained silent. No assistants. No investors. No friends. No family. Only the sound of rain against glass. Hours earlier, Ethan Graves controlled one of the most powerful companies on Earth. Now he sat alone in darkness while the world watched his destruction live on television. And the worst part? It didn't happen because of one mistake. It happened because every small lie eventually demanded another. And another. And another. Until the truth finally became too heavy to hide. The camera on the television zoomed into old footage of Ethan during his most famous speech. Smiling confidently beneath bright lights, he told the audience. The future belongs to those bold enough to create it. The audience in the clip erupted with applause. Present-day Ethan stared at the screen emotionlessly. Then he reached for the remote. And turned the television off. The room went dark. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and comment below. Do you think Ethan Graves deserved what happened to him, or did the world create monsters like him? Because sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones who start with evil intentions. They're the ones who believe success makes them untouchable. And Ethan Graves learned too late. That one day is enough to lose everything.